Thank you for joining me on TMI Tuesday. We're going to be looking at a couple of issues and finding a lasting solution to resolving it. Basically, today being the 10th day of December happens to be World Human Rights Day. And the 2019 theme for today is Youths Standing Up for Your Rights. And also, we will be looking at the legislative prudence, the 7th Edo State House of Assembly experience. I'm Philip Omo Gukman. Joining me today on the discussion at my immediate left, I have the president of One Love Foundation, also known as Ultimate Equal, Comrade Patrick Osaige Iholo. Many thanks for coming, comrade.
Thank you for having me, and thank you, viewers.
And next to him, I have a legal practitioner, one-time Secretary General, NBA Benin Branch, and member of the National Executive Committee of the NBA, David Maluko. Thanks for coming, David.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers.
Well, before we put our voices on the legislative prudence, looking at EDHA experience, let's take a bite on what today really is observed for by the United Nations as World Human Rights Day. What's your stand in this point, and the government of the day finding a way to really make sure that the citizens of this great country have this?
Well, you know, first of all, thank the viewers. Let me pay kudos to those who are not here with us, who sacrificed for us to live for today. I can't mention all their names, but I can give kudos to very few. People like Nelson Mandela, Luther King Jr., Gani Fawemi, and others. I pray their soul rest in peace. I think they will be rolling over in their graves today to see what is presently happening in today in Nigeria, where people have been detained and judges have been given a bail order, and still the government of the day refused to respect any of these orders. So it's very painful. I think there has been a lot of retrogression for us as a country. And I also know, and some of us will agree with me, that this might not be totally surprising to the viewer or to the entire nation, because we have a president today of this country who was the first that used what they call the retroactive law. He knows better about that because he's a lawyer, to retry some drug peddlers and execute them and kill them by fire risk code. And the same mentality is still with him. And then he felt that, he can use this overzealous view.
But if I can quickly cut in there, I think we have to be. But we have to civil. No need to use any word that could cast aspersions on any personality.
Calm down. It's not aspersion. I said some of these overzealous DSS officers. I didn't say all of them. There are a few good men. There are wonderful DSS officers who are my friends. So I'm not casting aspersion.
Okay, but saying, the president of the president.
Yeah, the president of the president. I'm saying is that it's not surprising to people like me, because he's in Guinness Book of Record. Our president, if you don't know him, he's one of the past generals or past president who has used a retroactive law to convict people. So I'm driving it. I say I want to pay kudos for those who have sacrificed for us to live, because at the point of time, some have died for that to live. And that's what we in Nigeria have not gotten into. And that's why we are thinking that what happened to Sowore today, it is good. I'm not here to advocate for him, because I also conscious Sowore that no nation will sleep when you are coming the word revolution. Even the weakest government will fight you. That has a negative undertone. Of course. Well, I mean, we're not happy that he did that. He might have used the wrong statement, but I also know that he meant well for this country. So besides that, the hollow chambers, I'm not a lawyer, it's very separate from the executive, so we should respect that. But again, feel no pain, because most of these judges, or some of these judges, have also sold us out. Because if you only know the power and the strength the judges have, this executive will not play with our human rights.
Quite to know that you really are up on this. But quickly, let's get to your viewpoint, Maluko. Today being 2019's theme, which is on youth standing up for your right. What do you make of this theme, and how does it apply to youth?
Well, world over, we pay glowing tribute to the human rights activists, both dead and alive, those who have put in their sweat, their blood, for the betterment of lives, for the generality of the human race.
Yes.
He named some of them. I don't want to go through that again. But taking a specific helicopter view on the country called Nigeria, one
That's a landscape.
Yes, one would be at a position to shed tears, deep tears, for the situation we found ourselves regarding the human rights issue.
But don't forget that we are still developing polity, it's not developed yet, so it's possible to have such challenges.
With all due respect, that has nothing to do with it. Whether you are developed, whether you are trotting, whether you are far gone, the human rights is rights given to man from God that all other human beings must respect.
So it isn't what a government should learn, it's what a government should know.
It's what yes. Why do we even have a government? Why do we have a democracy? Why do people come together and say we donate our power to you, lead us? Well, Thomas Hobbes had, predicted the state far back, probation state of nature, where life is nasty, brutish, and short. If we do not organize ourselves to donate our powers to a leader, and why we have donated our power to a leader is for you to give us security of life and property, and for us to also be able to observe our natural human rights. So if it's not working that way, I don't want to go into specifics, but you see, far back, 83, 84, we had a decree called Decree Number 2, where you had where security agents could just, on mere suspicion, detain somebody for as long as they like, and do with them whatever they like, castigate their human rights. And we are seeing things of that nature resurfacing with other names now, coming through the back door. Call it whatever, by whatever names called hate speech, whatever things we are seeing happening today. In fact, those of us that were around during the military junta would prefer the military to come back, because one cannot imagine the depreciable state of human rights that Nigeria now observes.
I think it's a far cry from what we have now, and there's always a saying that the worst democracy is far, far better than any military junta.
Not what
looking at what you just said,
what we're experiencing
are you
now.
not sure you're going to redress that statement?
Look at the economic indices. Look at the political indices. Look at all the substrata, health, education, compared to when you had the military. And you will see that we are taking 24 steps backwards very fast. There is nothing to commend on ground. When we talk of human rights, people, yes, my good friend here, Mr. Holo, has said that the word revolution makes governments to cringe. But then, it's not just, anybody cannot just come out and say revolution. You look at the capacity of that person to carry out that revolution. You look at in what context is that person talking about revolution. I'll give you a simple example. Our president and commander-in-chief, in 2003, ran elections, lost, and went to the streets. And the word revolution was used, very, very much during that time. The same thing repeated in 2007. The same thing repeated in 2011. All the times he lost.
But was the word revolution used in solitary?
It's silent.
Was it used in solitary or as an adjective to qualify other versions?
Insofar as it was used at all, let us not try and distinguish now. Insofar it was used at all, and nobody came to arrest him or the group of people that were on the streets. There were notable people there. Funny enough, including this Showore himself was there.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Now, Comrade Eholo, you agreed to the fact that, irrespective of the fact that we have fundamental human rights, but it's still within some limitations in order for us not to go beyond boundary. Like the issue you cited over Showore's case.
Yes, I wasn't taking that from him. I was citing that to say that one had to conscious himself that the word revolution is very big. But however, I want to agree.
Yes, because as much as we have freedom of speech,
there's limitation. Yeah, there's limitation, of course. But I also want to agree with him that the same man who is crying foul has also used that word in numerous occasions. So what we are saying is that we have those who have the right to use it, and we have right not to use it. But let me also take you back. Perhaps he's a student of history. He will understand this. That when Buhari lost and there were protests in Kano, during when Obasanjo was there and Chuba Okadigbo was the Senate president, he was tear gas, and that leads to his death. After 3 days, the man died. all because of this president that we have today. So a lot of people have died for President Muhammadu Buhari. For him to come and hide under the screen and to come and say, you know, I am not responsible for what they are doing. He's the man in the mirror. You should come out. If you don't come out and condemn what is wrong, it means that you are applauding what is wrong. So in no time that we had ever had it bad, you know, perhaps because we talk alike in the same content, because we are wearing white and white. I don't know.
Yeah, I was coming there. I was coming there because was it planned?
No, because so it's likely unusual for me to just agree with somebody on the same the same podium with me without having a little bit of disagreement, because he said it all. You understand? It is better when the military was here. Then the schools were very organized. The primary schools and secondary schools were not exploited. There were no sex for grade. Even if they were, it was not as exposed as it is today. There were no numerous taxes. Any country without education is a blind country. And before you go back to my brother, my friend there, is that let me also recommend on it again that human rights is our property. Nobody can give you human rights. Okay. Human right belongs to you. And I'm also very happy today that some of the good police and the bad cops are listening. The idea of harassing people in the street, your computer, your phone, that's not your job. I'm not a lawyer, but I know this, that it is only a competent court that can issue a search warrant. The idea of humiliating women, raping women, and forcing them to go to ATM bank, the bad cops should stop it and copy the good ones.
Thank you, Comrade Eholo, and big thanks, Maduko. Well, let's look at the subject really that we're looking at, the very sensitive topic here, which is on legislative prudence and the 7th EDHA experience. You agree with me, since the inauguration of the 7th House of Assembly in Edo State in June 17, there's been myriad of issues really tailing along, treading it, irrespective of the so-called promulgation that was not properly done, inauguration that was done at night, and all of this has been really burning. And just recently, we've had the issue of the Speaker of the Edo State House of Assembly declaring the 12 members elect that are yet to be inaugurated, their seats vacant, and within 90 days, the INEC should conduct a by-election alongside the additional 2 that were inaugurated and went back to the other side of the divide. Well, looking at this, David Maduko, some are saying that the House of Assembly, under the leadership of the Speaker, Francis Okiye, has no moral or no legal grounds to take that decision. What do you make of that?
Well, first and foremost, those positing that do not have the locus to so do, the only body I know, the justified and legal body, are the courts of law that can make such pronouncement. So if you have a grouse or a grievance with the situation, the best thing for you to do is to take your case to court. Now, having said that...
But the case is in court, and is it not expected that the court should take that decision?
What's the nature of what is in court? Do we have the papers? Do we have the process here? Do we know what they are asking for? There are a plethora of things you can go to court to ask for. So we do not just sit down here and assume. One of the things I don't do is to assume anything. I need to be specific. For instance, I am aware of a Federal High Court decision in Port Harcourt on the issue of the Edo State House of Assembly. And I am specific about the judgment of court. You understand me?
Yes.
Yeah. So now, going back to what you're saying, taking a cursory look at that, you look at the stand of, I think there are 14
Yes,
14.
Yes, 14.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who,
but out of the 14, 12
yeah, no, I'll come to that. I'll come to that. Now, 14 have kept away. If you ask me personally, my opinion, I think they have acted with little wisdom, and there's a little bit of legislative profligacy.
When you say they have acted with little wisdom, what camp or group
yes,
are you referring to?
when I say they've acted with little wisdom, like I said again, my own view is because I think it is better, it is wiser, it is more prudent that when you want to engage something, you enter the thing you become a partaker, you participate in it,
Okay.
than from engaging that thing from outside. It's been said in different aspects of life, even in politics. They said, oh, you people complain a lot. Go and enter politics.
And
Engage in
fight,
politics.
high
Yes,
side.
and fight it from inside. Bring out the things you want to be done from inside the political space. So, likewise, I'm, likening it to this situation. You come and be inaugurated. That's what I think is better. Come and be inaugurated, whether you have an issue with it or not. Then from inside, when you are there, if you want to go to court, if you want to do anything, you are now at the house to do things. But when you keep away, now you ask specifically, proprietary or otherwise, of the speaker's action. The speaker, to the best of my knowledge, took his action under Section 109 of the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. And the section is very clear, talking about members who have kept away from the House of Assembly. Now, where you have to be very careful, there is an issue about 12 members who did not come at all. And 2 members who came, they were inaugurated, and they, let me use the word absconded, all this while. I think, from a legal perspective, legally speaking, that the issue of the speaker's statement should apply stricto sensu to only those 2 who were inaugurated, if you follow what the stipulations of the law, because they were inaugurated and kept away.
Okay.
Meanwhile, in relation to the other 12, ab initio, from the very beginning,
They never showed up.
they never showed up. So you are now, I think the issue now should be taken into the court to give a proper description. To how do you now define them? Is it members elect? Is it members, former members? Or what? We cannot, under our imagination, sit down and describe them.
Yeah,
I think the issue
they can be described as members who did not.
that is our imagination.
Who did
That's
not
what I'm
recognize the
saying again.
requirement of the citizens.
The job of the court is to interpret the law.
That, okay.
So if you want to interpret it, we should not sit down in our imagination
Yes.
and interpret it.
Okay.
It should be taken to court to interpret. Legislation makes the law, executive executes the law, and the court interprets the law. So
Thank
do
you.
it as it's supposed to be done.
Thank you. David Maduko is a custodian of the law and is expected in this direction. But, well, we'll be taking a break, and after this break, we'll be expanding on the frontiers of this discussion. Don't you go away. Thank you for joining me again on TMI Tuesday. While we had a break, we had the opportunity to be joined by former Executive Director Public Affairs, Social Media to Edo State Government, and also was the Deputy Director in charge of communications, media and publicity to the Godwin Obaseki campaign organization. And he is also the Chairman, Heritage Farmers, Edo State, chieftain of the All Progressive Congress. He served in various capacities. Good to have you join us, Prince Gregory Ogiogwa.
Only me. Thank you.
All right. So while we had a break, I believe you were able to get 1 or 2 issues that we really having talk on, looking at the legislative prudence in the 7th Edo State House of Assembly, the myriad of issues that came up with its inauguration in June 17. Can you say the House of Assembly was fortunate or unfortunate in these all issues?
I think democracy is fortunate because what it has done is it has tested the boundaries of democracy. That's what it's done. And that's the beauty of it because there's no end, there's no permanent definition to democracy. So with every conflict, with every crisis, with every reconciliation, there's an expansion of the understanding of democracy. Nobody has it perfect. Donald Trump in America is about to be impeached for making a phone call. So there's no real end. There's no boundary to the definition of democracy. So what you're seeing is an expansion of democracy. In Edo State, I think if you recall, we had a program here, sometime ago, when you were going to let those the incalcitrant members-elect seats, because I think earlier we were looking for how to define them. They're actually members, they were members-elect. Now, there's only one thing that you need to look at now, the Constitution, which is where I agree with my brother. If you look at the Constitution, it states that members-elect shall, yeah? Shall is not discretionary. It's not by your choice. You have to present yourself for inauguration. Members shall present themselves for inauguration upon being, giving notice of the date of inauguration of House of Assembly. Now, if you say that you are not giving notice at a particular date, but you are now aware at another date, at another time, the Constitution states that you shall produce yourself for inauguration. If you don't do that, you have already breached the Constitution. That's number one. Number two, because it is the provision of yourself for inauguration that makes you a member of the House. Anything outside that, you're just still a member of the Senate. Number two, the Constitution states that if you do not sit in the House for a minimum of 1/3 of the legislative year, then your seat will be declared vacant. That's what the Constitution states.
Okay.
Now, if you look at it now, from now to the end of the legislative year, which is in June, it's less than 180 days. Which is, the legislative, it's less than the mandated period which they must sit. So even if they come today and say that they want to be inaugurated, they still will not meet up with that constitutionally mandated period of time that they should sit in the House.
Really?
Therefore, it is the duty of the Speaker who must look at, the legislative mandate to the constituencies and citizenry of Edo State to be represented. Because they have to be represented. These guys constitutionally cannot represent their constituencies any longer by the Constitution, because they've already exceeded the number of days that they should have sat, that they've been absent from the House. And even if they were inaugurated today, they still will not meet the mandated number of days that they should sit.
Okay, I'll come back to you.
So you see, the thing about it is this.
Yes.
It would be very, very grievous of the Speaker to allow those constituencies to be unrepresented throughout the legislative year. That is why we must do what we've done.
Okay, Comrade Patrick Hello, all of this, doesn't it seem like widening the gulf within the party in the state, APC?
First of all, I want to agree and disagree with him in two things here. First of all, I want to disagree that this honorable member who did not appear me, that he cannot use the word recalcitrant to them. No, you are not here to come and use the word recalcitrant to them. Why are you not using? Why are you not using the word recalcitrant to your governor? Why are you not? Okay, then don't call your governor excellency. Don't come here and be. No, don't do that.
Okay,
don't do that. Don't do that.
Patrick Hello has the floor.
You cannot come and use the word.
But I must say, please, Gregory Gogwa, please, Patrick Hello.
Can you tell your governor is responsible? Can you call your governor recalcitrant?
Thank you. Patrick Hello, can I have your attention? Can I have your attention?
That's not right now.
Can I have your attention? Can I have your attention now?
Come here and be saying that.
Yes. Let's find a way to get this done properly, because we have become viewers. Yes, we should be civil in our presentation. Yes. We should be civil in our presentation, please. Gregory Gogwa, please. You have the floor. Patrick Hello, you have the floor.
I'm going to walk away from here now.
You have the floor, Patrick Hello. You have the floor. Go ahead.
But you talk to me, it's been disrespectful. Why are you bringing the government? It's been disrespectful.
TMI, every opinion counts.
It was like a hurricane explosion, so the break was wise. But thank you for still joining us on TMI Tuesday on legislative prudence and the 7th EDHA experience. Before the break, Comrade Patrick Osage Holo had the floor. And the question was, what's your opinion about the whole myriad issues that the 7th House of Assembly has been embraced with?
I'll share a little light on that, but first of all, let me apologize to the viewers. That we have some heated arguments. My brother, and I love him so much, he knows that. What I'm saying is that two wrongs cannot make a right, okay? I'm not here to really define the law for you, because I'm not a lawyer. I'm sure that my twin brother on white is a lawyer, and I'm also sure that my brother Greg is a scholar when it comes to politics, so they can define that. But two wrongs cannot make it right. The people that suffer now is we. Imagine me getting upset with my brother on TV.
Okay, but you see this as broadening the gulf.
Let them do the right thing, because you can't tell me that if a man is forcefully taken to the House of Assembly with a short knicker and his slippers to sworn in, that's legit. That's why I said I'm very careful in what I say. Okay, and you keep hearing from them that we are going in the line of our past master. We are doing what he taught us. You cannot. My father was a farmer, not a farmer. If your dad has taught you one thing, and you feel that perhaps some of the things he taught you were not the greatest, or you were not really profiting from it, you can go into other profession and do other things.
Okay, but let's look at this quickly. The aspect of the swearing in or the inauguration, don't you think that the members-elect that have been strolling away were supposed to come back and really be inaugurated for the sake of their constituencies that are not represented?
Well, I think those members did all the disservice. They did all the disservice, and I think the governor himself did all the disservice. That's why I said two wrongs cannot be right. Because those who suffer are the electorates, people who go out there and stay in the sun and stay in the rain and get hungry and get beaten and get humiliated and say, this is the spirit of democracy, I'm going to participate in it. I think those are people who suffer it. People like me who buy my ticket and come to Nigeria and cast my vote. I think the honorable members who were supposed to be sworn in, who refused to come, didn't do us a disservice. I also know that the Excellency, Governor of the State, also did not manage this crisis well. And also know the national APC chairman, Adam Oshomole, he also did not play his role very properly. But can we say with all this that they are all right?
Okay.
It's not right.
You made mention of the governors
yes,
in this
yes,
issue, but
yes.
Have you again forgotten the court judgment?
By
that did give rise to the first proclamation. The proclamation
you
by the
also,
governor did say that there shouldn't be another proclamation, because if there is, it's going to extend the tenure of the members. Look at that in this direction.
Again, that is why we are saying this is the law. If the law is being respected in this country and is not sold to the highest bidder, we will not be in this quagmire. The reason that law, people find jurisdiction that will favor them, I take the case that you also know that people in the other ends are also very happy that you cannot be a judge in your own court, that the judge who passed this judgment in Padako are related to Obaski one way or the other. You want us to go into the nitty-gritty, I'll tell you. I will define that to you. And people are not happy about that.
So are you saying that the judgment was biased?
I'm not going to say that. I have no right to say that. Then I'll be disrespecting the whole of chambers. I can't say that. But I'm saying that in speculation that there would have been other courts that you have tried that case instead of taking it to the court that you have personal relationship with the judge. That's what I'm saying, and I have the right to say that.
Okay, but the other divide has an opportunity to also take up the case, and
they're already taking up the case. But again, don't let it be, you know, that I'm here to be a spokesperson to these people. I'm here as a Nigerian. I'm here as an Edo State indigenous citizen to speak for my people who have been disenfranchised. I'm not here to speak for APC left and right or wing or this. I'm not here for that.
Okay, let's look at this. And like you said, David Maluko, in respect of what the law says concerning the members-elect and all of this, don't you think this could be widening the gulf with the party? Don't forget that there have been issues that degenerated to this extent.
Well, widening the gulf within the party is a party issue and should remain an internal issue. I don't think we should discuss that here. That's an APC internal matter. What we are discussing now is vis-a-vis how the law relates to the actions of the speaker and the law governing. Like I done earlier, I had specifically mentioned section 109. There's a little technical issue we are all not looking at. I mentioned it earlier. The wording of section 109 talks about tenure of members.
Okay.
Members. Now, let us look at the designation, as it were, or the kind of name we are going to define the people involved in this matter. Those that came to be sworn in by the speaker can be assumed to be members after their swearing in. The members elect, you see, this designation are not just given to them for decoration. There's a reason. The 12 members elect that never came up can never be assumed to be members. Never. And I say this with all sense of responsibility. And as a legal practitioner, you can never define them as members, insofar as they have not been sworn in. Now, I said if they have a grouse, the courts of law are always there to go and present your case. Just like we have said it, my good elder brother here, Mr. Olo, made some references. Well, I would choose to desist from that, because you see, when you're in a public space and we talk of relationship, a governor may have relationship with any judge. That should not at every point in time bring to question the fact that the judge gave a valid and subsisting judgment on a matter. So I would plead that we, pipe low on that issue. If the defendants, so we are bothered about that, they can still visit the judge and ask him to, they would have asked him to disqualify himself during the course of the trial. But they didn't do that. They went through the whole hog of the trial, and they have abided by the judgment. So I think it's better Let us maintain the status quo.
Okay.
If we have any grievance, there are men, wise men upstairs in the Court of Appeal and in the Supreme Court,
Okay.
who we can always approach to say, determine these issues. There are a lot of issues, legal issues, to be determined here. You know, stricto sensu, we do not know whether the governor must keep to timelines that are insinuated, whether there's a specific time that has been stipulated by the law, whether I should go strictly by that. These are things you take to court. Interpret it, sir. I don't know. Bring it by way of questions to the court. For instance, the United States Congress must be inaugurated on every January 3rd. That's what the U.S. Constitution says. Every January 3rd, the Vice President of America inaugurates the Congress, the Joint House, on every January 3rd, and they keep to timeline. So these are the little other small final details which we also need to bring to court to say, please, interpret this thing. How is it? Do we follow stricto sensu, or is there a allowance for some bit of discretion in carrying out these functions? But as at now, as at today, I will tell you that the governor has proclaimed there's a valid subsisting court judgment that says you cannot proclaim again. You proclaim once and for all intents and purposes. That proclamation stands. And as for today, I tell you that we have an EDHA that is functioning and carrying out legislative duties.
Okay, now let's look at the performance of the EDHA. Look at the legislative duties they've been carrying so far. And what do you make of this? Can you say that the 12 members are really tying up in respect of having robust legislature to govern, assist the executive in governing Edo State? Can you say that they are bringing up that sound speed in this direction? Yeah, Prince Greg.
Obviously. They've screened commissioners, special advisors, they've passed the 2020 budget. What else? They're passing laws every day or every other week and so on for the good governance of Edo State. There is no crisis. We have not heard of communities raising up themselves and coming to protest at the House of Assembly, apart from civil society, who a majority of the civil society who in most cases are misled by sentiments. Because you find out that civil society is part of the civil society organizations in Edo State are part of the problems that we have in Edo State. Because they whip up sentiments not based on logic and not based on any kind of reasonable intellectual foundation. They do it because they feel that that's the only way they can make themselves relevant. And it is a shame on the people of Edo State that civil society will now become the impediment. There are several instances of civil society being used by organizations, for example, NDDC. We know how many times that, because if they want to go into the nitty-gritty of civil society in Edo State, how many times that NDDC, the previous administrations, paid them off, or how many times the electricity groups or rival electricity groups paid civil society to go and protest against the people who are...
But we can't say that here because we don't have the right panelists to do that.
But
because if you are saying that, then you should be coming with facts and figures to really
figures,
do that. But that is not the attention on the ground for now.
Yes, but so you see what I'm trying to say is that, you see, when civil society, come and claim that they're civil society organizations, especially in Edo State, we need to look at them with, it's like, with one kind eye, as they say, one kind eye. Because they have not proven themselves to be honest, genuine, or honest brokers. They have not. And
okay, thank you.
Prove it at any given time.
Thank you.
The issues of that whether the Edo State House of Assembly has performed credibly with only 12 members. I mean, it's obvious. It's obvious that they have, because the state is running. Salaries are being paid. Pensions are being paid. There was a time in this state when salaries were not paid for months. Teachers would go on strike. Civil servants would go on strike. Pensioners would be protesting all over the House of Assembly. There were times when there would be full house, and you see pensioners, the teachers, everybody complaining. Do you see that there now? Of course not, because the government is being run appropriately. Now, people come with all sorts of funny sentiments and try and bring up the governor is this, the governor is that. The governor, we are not interested in the personality of the governor. We're interested in the practices and processes of governance. Is the governor managing the ship of government properly? Has the ship run aground? No. Is it carrying out what it was set out to do? Is government paying salaries? Yes. Is it protecting our citizens to a reasonable expectation? Yes. Is it paying pensions? Yes. Are contractors still working? Yes. Is infrastructure increasing relatively to resources available? Yes. So what on earth are we talking about? All this talk about personalities,
all right, thank you.
You know, and all that is becoming very annoying. And
thank you. Let's find your final words to anchor this discussion, please, comrade.
I will take on two things here. First of all, I don't get paid by government, and government only have their spokesperson who speak for them. And first of all, they are few good men. And to cast an aspersion on civil society, I think my brother Greg owned the good people among the civil society men an apology. People who are out there, people who are out there to go and fight for you to go and fight for. Can I finish? You see, that's what he does, you know. That's what he does. He won't let me speak.
Please. He has the floor. Patrick Olo has the floor. Please go ahead, Patrick.
Then also, okay, again, the reason why he's very upset about this because these civil, you know, they came out there to ask a governor, why did you privatize the hospital? I mean, they have right, you know, they have right to ask the BEDC to say, why are we being shortchanged? And now it's not being a spokesperson to BEDC. I think this is not very, I'm not expecting this from him because I owe him to a very high esteem and I have a lot of respect and regard for him.
Okay, drive your point.
But again, it's not personal. But however, for him to say that the governor is paying pensioner and all that, they're due for it. It's like me saying, I'm paying school fees for my children. Do I get an applause for that? Clap for me. I'm paying school fees for my children. So that's my point. So what he's saying here is relevant, but again, it's not really relevant because government responsibility is to provide security for us, to make sure that we have good medical health center, to make sure that we have qualitative education, to make sure that we have good roads. So if he's saying that we should applaud the government that they are doing that, if it's true they are doing that, we applaud them.
You take that as your final words?
Yes.
All right, Maluko, your final words on this.
I think it will be good for all of us to be less political when we discuss issues like this. I think we should be more objective, look at the problem as it faces us, if there's anyone, and prefer the way forward, solutions to such problems. Like I said before, right now, I think Edo State is objectively and reasonably working well. Of course, nothing can be perfect. There are lapses. There are places where it could be better. On the issue of the legislative arm, like I said before, to all issues concerning that, both legal and otherwise, can be taken to court to adjudicate on, and interpretations thereof can be sought from the court. But for now, I think we're on a smooth sail. My advice to those who are disillusioned or who have one form of grievance or the other is come and fight what you are fighting for from within. You get more results from within than from without.
Thank you. Okay, your final words on this in 1 minute, Greg Obiogwa.
Well, you know, my stand has always been the same. The law remains our ground law. The Constitution remains our ground law. What does the Constitution say? The Constitution points out that even if these guys are inaugurated today, they will not meet up with the constitutionally mandated period which they must sit to qualify them as members to keep their seats. That has already happened. It was no fault of anybody but the members who the members elect who stayed away. The Constitution also states that they shall provide themselves for inauguration. Shall is not discretionary. Now they have breached the Constitution in two places, in two points. What are we talking about? Now, for anybody to start bringing in the issue of the governor and the governor's relationship with somebody or somewhere is an absolute trite. And that's exactly what we're trying to talk about, that people start to bring in sentiment and try to distract. Look, we have situations where we need to deal with education to uplift the standards of living of our people now and into the future. We have to talk about employment, infrastructure, and people are busy talking about the members of the House of Assembly or some members members elect. And
so you see it as a distraction?
It's a distraction from what we want to do and what we should be talking about.
All right, thank you.
But civil society finds it very, very convenient to make themselves relevant to do that.
Thank you. Thank you. I think this is where we'll call it a wrap on this discussion, but I will be discussing with another public affairs analyst, Osage Godsent Erunse, on this subject briefly. Don't go away. Stay with me.